What is up, guys? I'm on here to make a video not just of my beautiful sweet dog, not just of my garden, but actually of my barefoot shoe collection. Check it out. Here with me. Thought I'd take advantage of the light and this moment when I'm not wearing any of my shoes to show you my selection and tell you some of the things I love and don't love as much about them. I see a lot of reviews for things like shoes and clothing that don't give the viewer any reference point. So one of the most important things you need to know about what I like about these shoes is what my feet are like. If we have completely incomparable feet, then this might not be that useful to you, or by virtue of the contrast, it could be useful to you. So I have a pronounced arch and both high instep and high arch, and what would be considered a previously weak and now reasonably strong foot. I didn't used to be able to splay my toes. I didn't used to be able to do any kind of like actual good agility work or strength from my feet because they were so profoundly weakened from the stiff, stabilizing shoes and orthotics I used to wear for decades. Fortunately, my barefoot shoe regimen and transitioning to shoes that actually allow my foot to function like a foot has done incredible things for strengthening my entire body. So let me just give you a little, I can make a separate video, and you can find separate videos on the pros and cons of wearing a shoe that is minimalist. And what do we even mean by that term? We mean a shoe that minimally interferes with your foot's ability to do foot stuff. What does a foot do? In addition to being your foundation on the surface of the world, right, and as a bipedal animal, it is your interaction point and how you locomote, how you get around. It also is a very nerve-dense part of your body. The skin on your hands, the skin on your feet, glabrous skin, is loaded with different types of nerves. The nerves on your feet in particular, 80% of them are, so a really high percentage, are designed to sense vibration. They also sense things like temperature, skin stretch, dual texture differentiation. They're telling your brain a lot about your environment. But that vibration piece is key, because one of the things that a shoe with a large, padded footbed, you could call it, is it's muffling the vibration sensation to your foot. Now, if you are someone with feet that hurt, or an aging foot that's stiff, or you just are struggling with some of your balance, you have to know that the more you deafen your foot's ability to listen to the world by receiving that vibrational sensation, those impact forces, it could really have a negative effect on your walking gait, your balance, your full body functionality. So many things to learn about in terms of the foot function in the shoe, the stiffness factor, mobility of the toes, ability to extend your toes, especially your big toe, how much that's telling upstream muscles in your body, when to fire, how to propel you through space, how to trigger connective tissue lines in your body. It starts in your feet. I know I haven't even talked about shoes yet. I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm giving you all this backstory so you look into it. So let's look at my collection. It is mostly a collection of shoes from Xero brand, and I have a couple from VivoBarefoot, which is also super popular. There's my dog! Don't take advantage while I'm distracted, digging in his favorite spot. He has other spots he can dig. So one of the things, there's tons of brands. Some are a little bit more of like an athleisure casual shoe. Some are more of like a sporty athletic shoe. But these are two that are getting that have a lot of attention. VivoBarefoot totally blew up, and Xero is coming. Xero is my favorite, just full disclosure. They fit my foot best, period. Okay, so I originally started with the Xero Prias. Prio, I don't remember. Look it up. This is, I completely wore out my original pair of these. This is my second pair. I literally had to like glue the sole back on. I was waiting for them to come back in stock in my size. I loved this shoe. I had to make some adjustments to the fit for me, and that brings me to the next shoe, which I love even more. So again, I started with the Prios. I went through a whole pair. I've been wearing these for years. I've got some information. I've got some track record with these shoes. I haven't just been wearing them for a month. All right? I no longer wear the Prios. I haven't tried the new design, but they don't fit my foot as well as this shoe. This is, I think it's the FSH. I'll have to look to see what the initials are, but it's the shoe with some initials. I will link it below. It doesn't matter what it's called, unless you want to go order it, in which case, follow up. I've been wearing these for over a year. By the way, I have the opposite left and right of all these shoes, but I'm just making some space. I have it in two pairs because I never want to be without this shoe again, and this is my dress-up pair. When I'm going into a gym and I don't want garden business, or, I want my shoes to be reasonably clean, to not get dirt on their floor. but I have this as a backup pair because I love them so much. The way this shoe fits my foot is like a glove. Plenty of room in the toes, plenty of room to display my foot, which isn't just the toes, but really you want to think of that, the metatarsal heads, if this is the equivalent of foot. You want no pressure there. You want plenty of room for the nerves and the connective tissue and the intrinsic foot muscles to do their thing and act in your shoe. Okay, so the ability to have toe splay at that widest point has to fix your foot, period. If you need a wider shoe, I used to have ridiculously narrow feet, but it's because they were so atrophied. There was no muscle. Now they're probably more of like a mid-range width. They're not super wide. If you do need a wider shoe, they make a wider shoe, but make sure that is a priority. Other priority you want is full flexibility of the shoe. You want it to roll this way because your foot should be able to articulate against the surface of this floor all the way back into the heel. No stiff cup in the heel either, and ideally nothing that's going to limit your ankle's ability to rotate, because you want to strengthen it to be able to rotate. Your foot is this incredible dynamic piece of engineering, and unless you need to, you want it to be able to fully function and not get in its way, because it will just lead to a cascade of other deformity and malfunction, okay? It's too genius. We can't keep up. This other thing you really want to see is that it has full twist, okay? Your foot rolls through. It's not just a rocker this direction. There's rotational that you need all the way into that digit, all the way into the digits, all the way into the toes, okay? So that's two features you want. All your Xeros are going to have that. They all have the same foot bed, then it's the upper that makes the difference. For my foot, this fits best, okay? I have plenty of room for my feet to splay. I have no issue with my toe touching the front. You really want to be careful of that. I can achieve that with the laces fully loose. With the Prios, just an example, I used to have to sort of choke up on the top lace to prevent my foot from sliding forward, because it would slide forward. It just wasn't as good a fit. And also, with the Pria, I don't know if this is still in this, but it has more padding and meat to the shoe, which is great. If you scuff your feet or you just want to have like a little bit more substance on your foot, I think the Prio has more upper shoe. But again, the base of the shoe, totally the same. And foot dimensions are different, so it's very possible that the way the Prio is cut could fit you also really well. But that's just my take, and you saw my foot shape. High arch, high instep, etc. What else? Let's move on. I also have a casual shoe. I think this is like the Lena from Xeros that I got on sale. I got every color because, again, they fit me well. And they were on a super reduced sale, so I just got them while they were all in my size. These I really enjoy wearing with socks because there you can see they're not made with the athletic mesh. This is super breathable. In fact, my foot is cold in this shoe on a cold day. You can almost, there's just a tiny bit of mesh. I will say though, it has held up. I have had no issue with any seam pulling off the bottom of this shoe. My foot is not wearing through. In the old Prias, I started to get some break through of my toe here because it just wasn't hitting the top of the shoe at the right place for the way the shoe was designed, because again, it didn't fit me as well. No issue with that here. Completely sealed, very well-made shoe. I wear these every day, miles, every day. I've had them for over a year. The wear pattern, there's still plenty of tread on the bottom. I am super impressed with this shoe. I love it. I never want to be without it, like I said. But I wear the casual shoe when I want to wear a sock underneath it, or I just need to. I have them in beige, and I totally destroyed the blue ones in my garden, but beige and black now. And again, it's just to have a backup pair so I don't run through them so quickly. And like I said, they were on sale. They don't wear out quickly, though, I will say. Like I think you can see, there's my tread pattern, or at least on my right foot. I've been wearing them for a year, and they're still really holding up well. So I like it. So again, here's a casual shoe option. Very simple shoe. They make beautiful casual shoe options, by the way, but they're all beyond what I can afford right now. I just can't splurge. If I could, I'd have every pair, please believe. Okay, now let's talk about my VivoBares. A few little things. Here is a VivoBare casual shoe I have. It's a boot that's lined. You can tell it doesn't have a lot of wear on it because I don't wear it that often. I like this shoe a lot. It fits me well. It has plenty of space, and I'm going to compare that to the other VivoBare. Here, check it. It's VivoBare. Plenty of space, and they're super cute casual shoe with like a dress or something. But this isn't, for me, this has not been a functional casual shoe in the sense that it's a boot and it's lined, but it is totally permeable to water. So it is their, I think it's like a vegan canvas, the vegan version of this particular boot. I don't even know if they make this anymore. But, I mean, it's a little bit stiffer, but it's mostly because I haven't been wearing it as much. I do like this shoe a lot. Again, it's cute, it's comfortable, it fits well. It's not warm enough for me to justify it, to be honest, unless I put socks under it. So I don't get a lot of use out of this shoe, unfortunately. But I also don't wear a lot of dresses or, you know, like, I don't dress up enough to wear this, which for me, this, ironically enough, this is a little bit more of a dressy shoe. And I just haven't had the occasion. But I do like it, and it does fit well. But more interesting, let me talk to you about the more comparable shoe, side-by-side comparison of the Xero to VivoBare. Because this is more of their athletic shoe, and this is just their staple design. You see a lot of people wearing these. The aesthetic, I don't love as much because I feel like it's kind of like one of those river rafting, like neoprene boot shoes. But a lot of people like the aesthetic, so there's that. I don't like it as much because not just does it fit in a way that I don't think is as attractive, but I really don't care about. Please believe, if it fit my foot better and it worked me better, I would not care what it looked like. I'm just throwing that out there because, of course, you know, different people have different opinions, subjectively. But for me, the issue is it is too close a cut along my toes. So I like this shoe for things like wearing it to the beach, if like on a day when it's actually hot. The beach sand can be so hot that before you get to the cooler sand by the ocean's edge, you need to get through some hot sand. Or if you do actually need a shoe that dries quickly, because one thing is that this Xero at least takes forever. All my Xeros take forever to dry. So that's an issue. They have a waterproof shoe. I don't own it, but that's an issue. This shoe, on the other hand, is a great shoe if you're gonna, for the days that I am gonna go out in the rain, or that I am gonna be at the beach, or it is lighter and it's more minimal in the top of the shoe. So whereas even though, if I'm gonna say, the Prio is pretty padded around the shoe, not the bottom of the shoe, that's totally minimal, stripped down, zero drop. You know, you can read the number of millimeters of surface they have under, and they do come with optional insoles. I never seem to use them, but it's mostly because I use my own Naboso insoles, which is another separate topic about foot stimulation, and Xero and Naboso partner, which is sort of like, good, the smart kids know each other. Okay, what was I going to say? Next fastest or next slowest in drying, fastest in drying. And again, because it's totally mesh and it has very little surface or texture padding around the ankle. Now, this shoe could be great for things like animal flow or when you really want your foot to feel naked, right? Now, if I'm going to do floor work and things, I tend to just go barefoot, period, right? I don't need to worry about germs or, you know, what's going on in the floor spaces that I personally use. But if you're doing that type of class or something and you want your feet covered or you are required to have your feet covered, then a close-fitting shoe like this might work for you, as long as it's not so narrow or so cutting off that pinky and the last 3 digits that it's interfering with your foot splay and movement, because in that case it's just defeating the purpose of wearing a minimal shoe. But that is an issue. I don't find it as comfortable. I also find this rubs on my ankle and my upper foot in ways that the Xero never has. I wear all my shoes without socks, by the way. I never, well, unless of course I'm trying to keep it warm, like I said, but typically I do all of my actual walking and hiking. You know, it is a really off day for me to put socks in shoes, like maybe twice or 3 times a year, literally. So, to be clear, I almost always prefer to be barefoot in my barefoot shoe. Again, like part of why I'm doing it. I want the sensory experience, and a sock is just another layer of muffling to your foot. And I also don't tend to have cold feet. Like right now, my foot is totally frozen, by the way, because it's like 50 degrees out here. But I'm ignoring it, and I'm able to ignore it. I'm not that sensitive. If you're sensitive and you need to be able to wear socks in your shoes, think about how that's going to interact with your barefoot experience. Okay, so back to the VivoBares. Again, I love them for their light minimalism, if that's a priority for me on the day I'm using them. For example, if I'm taking them off. So taking them to the beach, slip them in a running belt, it weighs nothing, it's super easy, super compressible and compactable. This also is, but not as much, right? It's got a little bit more just structure. Now, it doesn't interfere at all with my foot movement. I never, for example, find wear in the heel. Like I've been wearing these for a year, and there's no wear against the back of that heel cup. If you're wearing a super supportive shoe and you have a high arch like mine, your foot is going to be fighting against that heel cup, and you're going to have shoes that, for example, wear out, and you'll see pits and holes in the back of the shoe, a sign that your foot is fighting the structure of the shoe. So I don't find that in these, even though they have a little bit more mass to them, and then this is just completely foldable. But again, it doesn't have a major impact on the way the shoe functions. What bothers me about this shoe is that it's too narrow for me, and it rubs my foot if I wear it for hours and hours. I might overcome that if I were to wear it more often, but I haven't bothered. Also, the thing here is that the tongue of the shoe, I should unlace it and show you, but the tongue actually attaches fully, and for someone with a high instep like mine, that can be annoying, and I don't like to untie my shoes between using them. The Xeros completely breaks, and so all that is laces, and I can completely make this as loose as I want it, and I like that because, like I said, I want to be able to just flip it on and have my foot be able to move and function with the shoe should follow my foot's action. I shouldn't have to tie my shoe tight to get it to stay with me, okay? So that's an important thing, and I put these, this is how loose I tie them, I fully loose. I do not feel any restriction on my foot, and it follows my arch, and it follows my foot movement beautifully. That's because it's just a well-shaped shoe for my foot. Here, it's a little bit tight, and I have this so loose, I almost ran out of laces, but it's so loose, and it still is just like not quite happy. Again, on my super high instep foot. That might not be an issue for you, and in fact, that might be why this shoe is so popular, because most people don't have that much arch and that much instep. Again, it's fully twisty, rolly, all of it. You know, you're both of those. These are so clean, it's crazy, because I hardly ever wear them. But I keep them in my car. I keep them in my car for emergencies, if it's get caught in the rain, if I make an excursion to the beach and I don't want to get my other shoes wet. I love having this shoe. So not knocking VivoBares, it's just not my preference. Alright guys, final thing I want to show you is while I have two things. One, I also have the Xero sandals with the Neboso texture. Lived in these all summer, love them. I didn't show you, I have another one of the Xero sandals that has the toe strap. Didn't work as well for me. It was not shaped as well for me. I just didn't feel like I had good control over the front of the shoe. Like I was going to have to hold it on to not catch things, whereas this shoe completely tracks my foot beautifully. The heel strap is just so comfortable. I wore these to death over the summer. Lots of hiking, lots of trail running. This design, the strap design, works wonderfully for my step foot. I think part of that again is the instep, that it gives a little bit of like a wind up, right? The shoe is going to get a lot of slap because of the leverages of my high arch. So maybe that's why I'm sort of sensitive to the shoe that has a little bit more range of motion, or that isn't so stuck to my foot with a strap like this one. If you're picturing the big toe, the design that has like a T-strap here. That just didn't work for me as well. I like the one going over my foot. It's still nice and loose. I don't pin it down, but it follows my foot beautifully, and I never feel like I have to hold the shoe on. That's key. What I did want to show you was the insoles. So I almost never use the Xero insoles because I don't need them. I either put my Neboso insoles in, and I also just don't necessarily want the padding. At first, it's nice to have a little transitional padding if you're totally brand new to barefoot, but I should really talk to you about transitioning into barefoot in a separate video, because I did not go from stabilizing shoe to Xeros overnight. No, I did not. I'll never go back, but I did not go overnight. So one of the things you might want to look at is the insoles. So this was a cool test I learned from, I think, Gait Matters, or it's on Instagram, and she did a test. I don't remember the podiatrist's name, forgive me. I think she's a podiatrist. Oh, you still can't see, my bad. And that was to do a test of stepping on the insole. So if you take the insole out of the shoe, you want to step your foot on it, and you want to see that the edge of your foot is not spilling over the insole, okay? And you're going to put full weight and full splay, and you're going to bend your toes, which is also going to, those metatarsals are going to need a little more room when you do that, and you want to see that you are still within the lines, within the boundary of the insole. Because that's going to tell you if the footbed itself is going to accommodate your foot as I sit on my time plan, right? You have a little bit more give, another millimeter or so in the top of the shoe, but you want the full base. So, you know, if that final little piece is slightly outside the edge, it's probably still fine because there's plenty of give in the shoe. But you want to know that that full surface is going to be comfortably within the shoe, and that you're not going to be fighting, or it's not going to be resistant to the limitation of the footbed. Alright guys, 20-minute video about barefoot shoes. I hope, really quick, just sitting on these insoles, my feet are so much warmer than on the bare ground. They're tiny, but they make a difference. They make a difference. You know, they're thin, but they make a difference. If you have questions, follow up. I'd love to tell you more about my foot journey. If you've ever been to any of my workout classes that I teach online, you will know that I make a big fuss about foot health, foot strength, and reconnecting with our feet as a profound gateway to understanding our bodies better. And one of the best things you can do for that is like I said at the beginning, let your foot be a foot, get out of its way. It might take some re-education because maybe your foot hasn't been able to be a foot for decades, like mine weren't for decades. And it's been one of the best investments I've made in my health.